Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boring AFC, an Arsenal fan YouTube page where we love pragmatic football and 1-0 wins. However, Boring AFC seems to be the agenda today for all the wrong reasons. It really does feel like Friday the 13th, hence why I'm wearing black. It just feels a bit like a dark day and everything feels a bit moribund. So, um, before I get into the game, I just wanted to quickly shout out to Darkside Gunner. I went onto his channel yesterday and we had a good chat. I'm just starting out, so it's great when somebody is so willing to give you a leg up. So shout out to you, Darkside. Thank you for having me. And before I carry on and do talk about the game, I want to get to 50 subscribers. So if you're here, please like and please subscribe because going live is the way that I would like to do these videos going forward. And I can't do that until I've got 50 subscribers. So thank you in advance if you do. All right, so let's jump into the game. I said this yesterday. I felt like this is probably our second hardest game remaining, and that proved to be the case. We drew 1-1. It was a disappointing game for many reasons, and I'm going to talk about those. But I don't think I can do that justice without first acknowledging that Brentford were really good yesterday. They played well. They executed their game plan. They pressed Arsenal. They piled on the pressure. And they got their goal, and they could have won it at the end, save for a couple of good interceptions. So, yeah, it was pretty bleak viewing yesterday, but I think we also need to have perspective. So let's get to it. Brentford are good at home. They've lost two games all season there, and they unsettled Arsenal. And by the end of the game, the draw was probably a fair result, even if it wasn't the result that we wanted. Shout out to Noni, great play there, mate, with your goal, and he he gave it his all on the day, but by the end of it, we're just obviously frustrated and disappointed with the outcomes. So let's have a breakdown. Let's have a look at the team. I think if I'm being honest and I'm trying to be objective here, the players look rattled, but they've looked rattled for a couple of games. If you look at the way the defensive setup has been for the last couple of games, I know that we kept 2 clean sheets against Sunderland and Leeds, but they've looked unsettled. We've seen that Saliba looked a little bit unsettled against Sunderland. Gabriel hasn't been his normal self. Raya's been a bit flappy, and you could see that in the opening of the game where Raya nearly let one in just by tapping the ball in and almost scored an own goal. Gabriel doesn't seem to be communicating that well, and we're getting these short, lazy passes and kind of desperate challenges, and that's really unlike Arsenal this season. And I feel like yesterday was the pinnacle of that lack of confidence, and Brentford jumped on it. So there was that. I think the team clearly really missed Havertz yesterday. I've talked before about him being, one of our most significant players, and you could really see the difference not having him in the team yesterday had on the team. Eze didn't have enough impact for me. Odegaard was okay when he came on, but then we conceded the goal, which was probably his fault. And it looked like he took a knock in the build up to that goal as well. And he wasn't the same after that. And perhaps he should have come off too. So I think that both Odegaard and Eze failed to have impact that they should have done. And it really showed the hole that Havertz left behind and the impact he had on Gyökeres, because it meant that Gyökeres had to drop. Whereas when Havertz was playing, he didn't have to. And, I thought Gyökeres did a good job holding up the ball and laid off Timber in the end, which could have won the game. So, I'm not ready to dip on Gyökeres too much because I felt like he was left isolated, and I don't think that was his fault. I think Eze and Odegaard should have done better, and I think if Havertz is in the team, we win that game. Whoever is in that 10 has to do more, and I don't know, maybe there's a conversation where maybe we should look at Jesus and look at a two. Or have Jesus slightly dropping off and coming into that midfield, that attacking midfield position. Not sure how it would work, but with Eze and Odegaard being so lackluster, maybe Wolves is the game to give that a go, or you try it against Wigan at the weekend, see how that looks. You just got to look for options at this point. Odegaard and Eze are both off form, both lacking in confidence, and we've got to find something that's going to carry through until Havertz gets back. It's just a little bit anxiety inducing, really. I want to shout. I think with Brentford's game, there was just so much pressure. They were pressing. They had crosses. They were really utilising their throw-ins, and it's basically what brought them back into the game. I still feel like we should have done better for the goal, and I still feel like Odegaard should have done better there. But it could have been any of them. There was, when you are doing that much pushing, when you're putting that many balls into the box, it is only a matter of time, regardless of how good your defense is, that you are going to concede a goal. And like I said before, Raya and Gabriel have both looked a little bit flappy over the last couple of game weeks. We've got away with it against the other two teams that we kept clean sheets against, but you're not going to get away with it against a team like Brentford. And I think that's why I really wanted to shout out Mosquera, really. I felt like he was probably the calmest player on the pitch. He was definitely the calmest defender. He was really good up against Thiago, who is so dominant. And I felt like Mosquera gave him a really good run for his money. He made a really good challenge at the end of the game to keep it 0-0. And I think that, Mosquera was one of our most important players yesterday, which isn't bad for a 21-year-old when you've got all these other senior players around you, perhaps going missing a little bit. So fair play to Mosquera. And then just to kind of finish on that, Nelly needs to do better there. I'm a big Martinelli fan. I did also suggest that maybe if you were going to lose him or Trossard at the beginning of the season, it was Nelly that you would probably open the door to Rodrigo for. That was when all the rumours were going around, of course. But, he had that lovely layoff from Timber, who received the ball from Gyökeres, and it's almost like he was so desperate to put it back onto his right that he gave Kelleher an opportunity to get into a better position. He should have taken it earlier on his left, and he didn't. And that's a goal winning moment. That's a game winning moment, and that's a defining moment. And we didn't take it. I still think that a point at Brentford is good, but when you're getting a point from a winning position, it's quite disheartening. And I suppose I just want to add a little bit of context or perspective to that. I think there is that kind of idea that Arsenal dropped 2 points because we did it from a winning position. But I also think that there's a chance that we might be looking back at this game at the end of the season and thinking, actually, that's a point gained. That was a really important point. That was a title defining point, as opposed to that was a title losing point. And I just think that maybe I think it's easy to come online and be really reactive and really frustrated and wear your heart on your sleeve and let all of your emotions out. And that's part of the reason why I didn't come online yesterday, because I was upset. But I think that, sleeping on it, thinking on it, it could be a situation where this is a point that Arsenal have gained, and it's going to be really important in the way that the season finishes. So I'm going to finish there. I only wanted to do a short video. Hopefully things will be better against Wolves. They should be, they need to be. I don't think there is any excuses against Wolves. We have to be beating Wolves. We have to be beating Wolves well. And then we have to beat Tottenham the day after, the weekend after that, so that we're taking 7 from 9. Otherwise, I think it really will be panic stations into the end of the season. If you've been here, if you stayed with me till the end of the video, thank you. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, 50 subscribers is the goal. That way I can live stream and then I can interact with you guys while I'm streaming. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.